Hi.
You said in the GQ interview, I think, that maybe you haven't yet got over the disappointment at the end of last season. Maybe it's not something that you ever will or should get over. But could you talk a bit maybe about the emotional journey that you've been on this summer since the end of last season, building up now to a new dawn and fighting for the trophy tomorrow? What's that journey been like for you mentally?
The first few weeks very tough because I didn't went through it, and the first thing you have to do is look in the mirror, and understand, okay, is that something that you should have done better, differently, and if that's the case, learn from it, and then judge yourself. Are you still the right person to drive the club, the team forwards in the way that you want, and do you have that energy and that belief that you want to do it? And I think it took a big reflection, but the answer is yes, and I feel with a lot of energy and positiveness, but I don't like losing, and it takes me a while, and that was a tough moment.
And when you look at where you are placed now in pre-season, you got so much of your business done very early, £200 million of business, maybe there's more to come, but 3 very big transfers done about a month ago. Maybe that's a cleanness and efficiency with which Arsenal haven't always done their pre-season. Do you feel in a better place now maybe than you've been in any pre-season in your managerial tenure?
Every pre-season is different. It's true that as well we have certain players that they were coming from long periods out with long surgeries as well, but in terms of the business, that's credit to the club and I know the processes and the people that are involved to make that happen. As managers, I think it's very important to have everybody as quick as possible. I think as well commercially and for those players and the team in general to have the understanding of where we are going and have those bodies around as well is very helpful, and I am so happy that we were able to do that.
Mikel, when you reflected on last season and had those moments, what do you think the difference was between you and City last year and why they won the title?
Momentum. I think in the key moments when it should have gone one way, and in many situations in the season it went for us, it didn't go for us, and it was 1, 2, 3, and then we lost momentum. They took momentum, and that shifted very much. And then you're talking about a team that if it needs to win 25 games in a row, they have the capacity to do that. So the last thing that they need is momentum and belief, and we gave them that.
One thing City have always had is that depth in their squad, that they can rotate players and bring in players of the same quality. Maybe not something you've had until now, really, when you look at the squad you've built. Is that something you've been deliberately trying to put together now, to have 2 players per position ready to compete?
Yeah, obviously we knew that was a factor, but I think it is a factor, and it could have played, or it did play a part in certain moments with certain specific moments of players. But I think we had games that we didn't win, especially the 3 draws that we had with this. When momentum shifted as well, we should have won those games, and we had enough to win those games, and it was in our hands. But there were key moments where we just weren't ruthless enough or clinical enough, or we didn't have the luck, or we made certain mistakes that didn't allow that happening, and we have to recognize that as well.
Thanks, Sam. Couple each next, John.
Do you think it's fair to say that Manchester City have come to the end of their cycle? They've won the Champions League, which was what they always wanted to do, whereas you've got everything right in front of you. Is that an advantage for you?
I heard that a few times in the last 7 years, when they won 4 titles or 100 points and then they went to 95. So I don't think that's the case. And knowing the manager and the people at the club, I don't think that's going to be the case.
You mentioned Declan Rice playing winger and attacking midfield. Has he been played out of position all his life then?
Sorry?
Declan Rice, has he been played out of position? You've obviously seen him as something he hasn't played before.
No. As I said before, make sure that we play him in their strengths and we don't especially drive him crazy. He has 2 positions mainly that I think he's played there, and he's very comfortable there, especially in certain spaces when he plays more of the left. But we will stick to that.
Well,
you spoke about how difficult it was to get over the disappointment. What were you like in the first couple of weeks? Could you stop thinking about it, or did you go away with your family, or whatever? How were you?
Probably I pretend that I stopped thinking as my wife, but probably she would say something very different. You need to go over it, and being away, I think it helps quite a lot. it's the feeling when you have created that belief and you have the feeling that you can do it, and then it goes away. But it's part of it, and I think we all need that, to be better. And that moment when you feel, okay, I failed or I didn't achieve what I wanted, you still have the hunger and the desire to go again, and that's a big motivation as well.
I mean, could you actually switch off, or were you all constantly thinking about signings, thinking about on the phone and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think it's always there, and every day you get messages. We have a lot of people at the club, and there's always things happening, and you have to be on top of that. And that period is key. But I had some rest as well, and I needed some rest. But I think it's a really good, when you get especially good news, it's a good way to put the temperature down, because you are more confident that things are moving in the right direction. I think this summer we had a lot of those good news.
Okay, Matt, John, can you turn that fan on, please? John, can you turn the fan on? Can you turn the fan on? Thank you. Matt.
Sorry. Football does tend to go in cycles, Mikel, and you've known this club for a long time. Because there were some fairly dark years before you took over, but I think last season it was seen as a bit that you'd overachieved in challenging for the title so quickly. But now you've got the age of the squad, and with off the field the way the club's put together, what you're doing. Do you feel Arsenal are now in a position where they're starting another cycle where they'll be considered one of the top clubs in the country for a number of years?
I understand about that concept of cycles, but as a manager, the cycle that you look is at the 24-hour cycle, and a lot of things happen in 24 hours, and make sure that you are the best in that cycle, and then the following 24 and 24, and that's the only thing that I look. Certainly there are plans and objectives and feelings that we have where we want to go, but I think after it has to be shown and delivered every single day.
Okay, we'll now move on to 10:30 Saturday into Sundays.